In a moment now, I'll turn to the other 99% of the tribunal's business. But there's one other little elephant in the room, and that's the issue of elites versus the people. It's an unfortunate subtext of much of the historiography of conscience. I'm not for the moment dismissing the reality of elites per se, but we historians have a regrettable and a lazy tendency to slap the epithet upon people of broadly similar and relatively privileged social background. And the tribunals certainly have attracted it for obvious reasons. Many of their number were drawn from local government, if for no other reason that they were the natural resource from which to establish at very short notice a countrywide network to process and interpret legislation. Others were business owners, professional people, solicitors, bank managers, substantial farmers, vicars, and even the occasional trade union officials. On the whole, the men to whom one would go for a reference, people who had a certain standing within society. But if elites are bodies that share a community of outlook and purpose, then we run into problems with the tribunals. It's certainly true that some tribunals spoke as if with one voice, but often this seems to have been the fault of one dominant member of a tribunal, either someone with a greater judicial experience than the others, or simply a man who shouted loudly and was used to getting his own way. But from my own research and the clear evidence of copious examples in the press, tribunals often argue amongst themselves and upon more than technical points. Having said that, certain tribunals stand out as having an abiding collective character. Peterborough Local Tribunal seems to process cases according to their strict interpretation of the letter of legislation, to the point at which the decisions seem uniformly, and though impartially, rigorous. At the other extreme, any agricultural worker coming before Hardingstone Tribunal might with good reason expect a long exemption and renewals thereafter. They liked agricultural workers, they didn't like sending them into uniform. Conversely, Brixworth Local Tribunal, which was also a largely farming community and had several farmers on the tribunal itself, was unmoved by stories of domestic hardship or hardship on the farm. They didn't seem to care that their own sort would be hugely inconvenienced by going to war. Northamptonshire's busiest local tribunal was Northampton Town, as you'd imagine, and by the standards of the age it was quite a liberal body. No doubt in part that was due to the presence of James Gribble amongst its members. He was a rabble-rousing trade unionist, but also a former professional soldier and a factory manager at one point, and an exemplary recruiter during the voluntary period. But there were also several professional men and business owners on the same tribunal who nevertheless exhibited a surprising degree of heart-searching in coming to many of their decisions, including one which Sally knows very well. A 17-year-old boy was his mother's sole employee, and this particular case set them head-to-head against their appeals tribunal for quite a long period, and quite severe things were said by one tribunal about the other. They met across the road from each other in Northampton. One met in Town Hall, the other met in County Hall. But they played out quite a public spat in the press and accused each other of all sorts of things. The point I'm trying to make is that characters seem to have shaped tribunals' individual policies as much as any imagined commonality of background or preoccupation.